Yeah.
Hey, John.
Hey, David. Hi. Got a haircut.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing real well. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Uh,
Yeah. How's your body doing?
it's sort of like I've been plugged in. You know how you could take an electric tension extension cord and plug it into the wall, and you take the two ends and you plug it in anywhere. I feel like I've got electricity going through my body. Okay. I like I say, I don't know whether I didn't put a value on it. All I know is that it's like I'm doing the twist. I feel like Chubby Checker. Okay. Let's twist again like we did last summer. But no, things are it's really good. I'm having, it I guess the way to say it really is kind of episodic that I go through different phases in the day, and when I wake up in the morning everything hurts and it takes me a while to get all everything moving right, and then I try to do all the stuff I need to do and figure things out. And I don't know if I told you, but my neighborhood, I live in a uh, in a condominium complex here in Weston that has it's a kind of a big circle, and it's near the center of town, and they're townhouses that there are either 4 units or 2 units up and down, and my building is 2 units up and down, and I'm on the second floor. Well, long story short, they're 25 years old, and the insurance company, the way Florida is now, I don't know if Texas on the coast, I imagine they're having the same issue. The insurance companies have been very, very difficult because they've lost so much money with the hurricanes that they don't insure. It's very difficult to get insurance, and you have to get reinsurance and stuff behind the state, and it's very expensive. And it's one of those things that the inflation that I'm sure was one of the things that cost the Democrats the election was that everybody, certainly down here, everybody's property taxes and everybody's um, property insurance on their homes at the same time that interest rates started going up, all hit at the same time. So your monthly payment, which usually includes escrow, everything went up. I think the people saw almost instantly a minimum of 30 to 40% increase, and it's been increased a little bit every year after that. So people that say, I was lucky because I bought this place a little over 3 years ago and interest rates were still down. I got this at 3%. And, now I don't think you get anything below about 6 and, things like that. And so everything got ratcheted up. And here, the condominiums here, they have to replace all of the roofs. And so they've got this project underway that's been underway now for about 3 months. And it is the most disturbing system because they're banging on the roofs and you don't know when they're going to show up because they've had you may have been experienced with this before, but what happened is, as usual, like all home improvement things, once you take the wall off, or you look underneath the floorboard, you find out that there's 5 other things that are wrong and they got to fix it. So that's kind of what's happened in this project. And the inspectors have told them on a couple of occasions, hey, look, you got to get all this other stuff fixed before we can approve what you've already done. And so it's sort of like a drip in terms of getting some things done and getting a permit and then getting approvals. And so you never really know when they're going to show up. And I was really fortunate today. They only worked on one of the neighbors next door for a while. So the noise, and I'm telling you, when you live in these places, I don't know how it is where you are, but I tell you, when you live in Florida, the construction that we have here is really poor construction. I guess they figure because, you know, you don't have cold winters, so you don't need all the insulation in the building, but the, you know, the building materials, you know, I can feel the floors moving, you know, I
Yeah.
mean, you know, so it's quite a project. So anyway, I got all that kind of thing going on. And so I'm kind of hypersensitive to sounds and smells anyway. And so it kind of knocks me for a loop. But anyway, today's a good day right now. We're having record temperatures. We're already here that today we're at 99 degrees Fahrenheit. And I haven't seen 99 on the ground here in August or in July. So it's hotter today than it is in the peak of the summer. And it's very early. And we also this year had the coldest winter we've had in 15 years. So, you know, I know we're all talking about the weather all the time, but the this one knocks you for a loop. So I was lucky I knew about it. So I kind of got all the shades pulled down. I kind of got the room a little darker. You can see the screens behind me. I don't ever close those blinds. And boy, I closed them today because I just got to keep the thing comfortable. And so
Yeah.
I think it'll work. But anyway, that's what's going on here. Everything else, we're doing great. How about you? Everything good?
Yeah, I'm having my body feels great. I see Mark in the background.
Yeah, yeah. He's here. He's unpacking
Yeah.
his girlfriend is a professional organizer. And she came here Saturday and spent all day Saturday here straightening things up and organizing. And we ordered a bunch of things that will help me get my stuff in order because I got junk all over the place. I try to get rid of stuff. I got to do that. But if I had something ordered to put things in, because I don't really have much furniture or anything like that. So everything is kind of out on tables and that kind of thing. So we're trying to get stuff organized so that it's easier to use and I don't have more than I'm going to use. And we got a whole bunch of boxes delivered yesterday. And so Mark came over to unpack them and get them ready for her when she comes back again on Saturday. So
Awesome.
so that's what we're doing.
Yeah, I had a great conversation with her yesterday.
You did?
Yeah.
I didn't realize you were doing her too. I know Mark, you've been doing. Okay, well that's great.
Yeah. Mark's ready to take over for me. He's becoming a master at this.
I know. Well, he got me into it, and he got Isabella in it, and you know, so this thing, like we said the other day, in this age that we're living in today, you know, you really need. It's hard when you have to associate with people that are very different from yourself, in the sense that, you know, nowadays it's like you have to be super conscientious about what you eat and what you do and what you don't do. And, and particularly when you get older, I've become very sensitive. Mark has helped me with a lot of things. I got a really good YouTube thing today on a podcast that I hadn't listened to the guy in a year, but it was this expert. They were talking about all the effects of the plastic. And,
Yeah.
and so, shit, we got plastic everywhere,
Our clothes, our bedding.
everything. And, the chemicals and the fragrances. And so little by little, just to clean up the basic stuff, I got really fortunate. I've been blessed. Are you familiar with Kangen water?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I've had the Kangen drinking water now for about 10 years. And the guy who installed it, Mark was suggesting, because I didn't realize it, Mark put a chlorine filter on my shower. And so the water, we take some of the chlorine out. But he said, that really wasn't very good. You ought to look at getting the real filtered water from the Kangen guy. So I looked at it again. Before, he had given me an estimate, and it was a lot more expensive. And this time, he put the whole house under this filtered water, and the whole deal to do my whole apartment, so that it comes out of all the taps, was only just under $2,000. And so as an investment, it is fabulous. So it is such a good thing. I used it first time last night and I used it again this morning. And I don't think it's my imagination that I can feel a difference with that
Yeah.
water.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, this is like, and part of this work that we're doing is trusting yourself.
Yeah.
So if the feelings you get, whether we think it's placebo or whatever, it doesn't matter.
Right.
It is actually happening. Yeah.
Exactly. Sometimes you realize you should capitalize and utilize the placebo effect. Because if that, when reading about the drug thing, you know more about it than I do probably, but what I read is that the placebo in almost all of the cases, they consider 30% normal.
Yeah.
So whatever they do, they're going to get 30% of the people to get a positive reaction, whether or not, they gave them water, whatever it is, right? And to get a drug approved, all they need to do is show that it's better than placebo. So if it comes out at 33%, that's only 10% better than placebo. So is it really worth taking on all the risk to take those things? And so, you don't really realize it because they don't explain that to you. And none of us, I don't know about you, but almost none of people I know can watch television anymore because of all of the ads that are on it. I tried to watch, I used to love to watch professional football. When I came back from living in Latin America, I really missed it, some of the things. And so the first few years I was back, I was watching a lot of the professional football. I didn't watch too much college, but I loved watching the football. Well, it got to the point that it was so difficult about 5 years ago, I stopped watching it live and I would record it. And so I would watch the replay, hoping that I didn't know what the score was, the next day or over the next week, and try not to know what the games were so that I could watch it and run fast forward through all of the ads, right? Well, it got so bad now, my thumb wore out and I can't do the fast forward. So I didn't watch any football this year.
I'm the same way. I used to love watching football. Yeah, I mean, every single thing is an ad on there where, even during the game, there's just sponsors
Well,
everywhere. Yeah.
I figured out. I'll tell you why. After watching soccer, I'm not a soccer fan, but when I was in Latin America and with all the kids and stuff, I would watch it. But American football is a 60-minute game. All right. The soccer is a 90-minute game. And they get the game over with in about 100 minutes. And then they only take the longer, 10 or 15-minute break between the periods and that kind of thing. But the rest of it's all play. They don't have the ads in there. And an American football game, the average, even professional football game, is 4.5 hours.
Yeah.
And what are the ads? I mean, if there were good ads, it would be fine. They're all the shit that they have to have huge marketing budgets for to sell, because they're making everybody, they're reprogramming everybody to use them.
Yeah.
And I always knew of the risks of advertising, and goes back to, there was a guy named David Packard or something, that he wrote a book called The Hidden Persuaders back in the 1950s. And it was all about what they do in advertising. And I can remember some of the stories that he told about how in the outdoor movies, for instance, at that time, we used to go to the outdoor movies, try to take a girl, and we'd have beer and all of that and drink underage and have fun out in the drive-in movies. And they put in slides so it didn't register with your consciousness, but with your subconsciousness, it did. They were food ads to make you hungry, so that when they got to the intermission time, you were there with the dancing popcorn and the cotton candy, and you were getting in line and buying all the sugar and all of the stuff. So, I've known about it, but I'm telling you, when you see what they do today with drug advertising, I mean, all you see are fast food ads, drug ads, and then, you got some automobiles, and you can't have beer anymore, and you can't have tobacco, otherwise they would be up there. It's all the crap. And to have to sit through that, I think for anybody that's watching those games, it's a risk.
Yeah. I'm going to change the subject on you. How's your hip doing?
Well, let me see it's part of the shift. I'm standing here at my standing desk, and it's one of those things that I kind of need to stay in constant movement, and in order to be able to, I've been practicing my sitting, because as I told you, my big issue has been my groin and the difficulty sitting for a long period of time. And Mark has been helping me, and my other therapist, Ann, that I told you about. They've all been helping me with it. And so that's part of the therapy, is to be able to get my hips realigned, but that all goes through. It's the whole chain, because, because of the fact that I broke both feet, I've been limping for the last 20 years and trying to do everything. And so with all the alignments being out of alignment, my whole body is. And so we're working on things at every angle we can. That's why we're doing all the dental work. Yeah. That's why we started that out. And that Mark is here. One of the reasons he's here today is we went to our first active therapy session on Monday and together. And because he started doing this first, and he was the one that got me going to the dentist I told you about. Well, this is the person that the dentist recommends do speech therapy with you. And so they've got me with a whole bunch of different apparatuses and different things that I use, and drops and nose guards and all kinds of stuff that I don't really remember how it is. They gave me a checklist, okay, and there's different, you'll see this kind of they call it myofunctional treatment program. And so they've got things trying to stretch my jaw out and line my teeth back up. They're going to make inserts, and they've given me, Mark and I are making those night guards every few days so that I can put them in my mouth and start to retrain my bite during my sleep. So it's a lot of activity on all ends of the body.
Yeah. And last week we talked about your son. Have you talked to him since last week?
Well, that was my story. I had 2 stories for you.
Yeah.
Okay, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. The first one was my son. Okay. Guess who called me out of the blue at a time that never calls me? Okay. Yesterday. Okay. He calls me up. Okay. And he goes, well, Dad, I'm calling you to tell you that they laid me off. Okay. At work. Okay. Well, I asked him what happened. I told you, I think, that he's a PhD in organic chemistry, and he, after he finished his doctorate, he went and got certification as a patent agent.
Yes.
Because he had, after he got out of college, he was at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, where I went to school. So he was a legacy. And he was a chemistry major. And when he got out, I'm sure it was the same story with you, but in my generation, because I'm considerably older than you are, even in my generation, when you went to college, my career path was chosen for me because I had to go in the Air Force and I was in the military. So I didn't really think much beyond those 4 years. So I didn't study a whole lot. I graduated on time and got everything done, but I didn't. But anyway, as far as liberal arts were concerned at the time, all my friends that had liberal arts degrees, no one ever got a job working in what they were looking at as a possible life career. When somebody became a sociology major or a philosophy major, you go, well, what are you going to do when you get out of school? And, well, you find out, but all those things, you don't really have that many job opportunities. But he was in hard science, engineering, mathematics, hard sciences. Those guys get job offers in their fields coming out of undergraduate school if they're a good student, because those are the toughest majors. And so the people, they get hired easier. So, you go to engineering school. That's why so many people go back and they do accounting or something like that, because, you can find a job in the field. But who the hell enjoys accounting? That's not an easy thing. So anyway, he got a job right out of school. He got a job with Glaxo Wellcome, working in their laboratory in the Research Triangle in North Carolina, right near school. And he worked for them for probably 4 or 5 years, I think. And then he decided to go back and get his doctorate. And the reason he did was he said, I don't want to spend the rest of my life in these laboratories, so I'm going to do something else. So he said, I got to get better with chemistry. So he goes back, gets a PhD. Well, after he did all of that, he realized that he didn't want to go back into the regular scientific research anymore, because he said, it probably doesn't have much of a future because all that stuff's being moved overseas. So that was one of the first areas that the laboratories back in the early 2000s were already starting to move to India and China and all of that. And he said, because everybody's so much cheaper over there, they can get all of the technical people they need in China. And in India, they get people that speak English. So I don't think there's a great future in this. So that was the reason he went back and said, well, I'm going to get a patent agent. And he did that afterwards. And he's in a legal department at a pharmaceutical company. And the company's restructuring and saying, well, we don't need the patent people in-house in the legal department. We need a patent agent, but we only need him down in some of the research areas. So it's one of those corporate restructuring things that we all go through these days. Because working for a corporation today is very different than when I went to work for a corporation. The corporation, by the time I got out, what's happened with the corporation is one of the major social shifts of our country over my lifetime. I think I mentioned to you the other day that when I was growing up, I lived in a very nice community because my dad worked in New York City. But my neighbors, we had two brothers, Italian immigrants, that had their families and houses down the street that were in construction. They had bulldozers and that kind of thing. And then we had the presidents of Texaco, American Standard, several oil companies. And in the house behind my cousin's house, my aunt and uncle's house, was Frank Carey, the head of IBM, when IBM was a monster. And everybody lived the same. These kids all went to public school with me. And, we went by their houses and there wasn't this huge difference. So when people talk about the 1% and all of that kind of thing, that did not exist in my childhood. Okay, we were all, as a nation, we were essentially middle class. And also being privileged. When I was born in 1947, 91% of the United States was white. Now it's like no more than 50%, and it's going to be less than 50%. So the cultural shift, the racial shift, at the same time, the corporation shifted to where now the president of a company, back in my childhood, the president of the company, if I'm not mistaken, made something like 3 to 5 times what the average company worker made. And I know that 20 years ago, that had already shifted to 25 times. So the amount of income at the top, and all the corporations have been manipulated because of all the changes, so that all the corporations are always trying to goose the stock price, because public corporations are all measured this quarter compared to this same quarter last year, and how you compare with your competition. So you better come in every quarter with good numbers. And so they tell you, okay, we got cost savings. We got to lower our costs because we got to increase our margins. So get rid of 10% of your people. And so, that's probably what happened to them there. So I said, we're going to shuffle it around, and probably another year or two, they're going to say, hey, you know, we need to hire back a few of these guys to work in the legal department. You know, the corporations are just so unstable now because everything has been run on greed, like the entire economy has been run, that that happens. So anyway, to go back to him, it was a wonderful conversation, and it made me very happy because, as I explained to you, he lives about as modestly as a man can live. I mean, I live in a lap of luxury compared to him. I mean, he always lived like he did when he was in college. You know, I mean, he has a little apartment. He's got a cat, couple of cats that he runs around inside the apartment with a laser on the ceiling and bounces the cats off the wall for entertainment. And so he's saved probably 75% of the money that he's made. He doesn't spend it. So I told him, you know, hey, you know, take a year, you know, take your time. This is the best opportunity you've ever had. And you're still a young man. You're only 46 years old. And at that age, you can still do anything and everything. So, you know, it's an opportunity I see for him, a real chance. And I told him yesterday, I talked to him what you and I talked about. I said, you know, I'm doing this. And I was trying to figure out the other day, how do I build a more meaningful relationship with you? So I went and put it right out there in front of him and, you know, said, listen, you know, you're certainly welcome to come down here and stay in my back bedroom. I got a Japanese tatami bed back there, so it may be a little stiffer than you're used to, but you're welcome. And, you know, this is a chance for you to decide really what you want to do and what your purpose is. Because most of us, our jobs are our purpose. And for the most part, along with our lives. And so now you've got an opportunity to really make a shift if you want. And I'm kind of happy with it because that other side of him is he's absolutely brilliant in the areas that he is brilliant. But there's a lot of blind stuff in somebody, I guess, common with Asperger's or something. But when I try to explain a few things to him, like what you and I, or you and Mark and I would talk about, you know, what, you know, Joe Dispenza,
yes,
you know, that kind of thing, the energy. And, you know, I went through yesterday with him. I walked him through Einstein because he's so bright and he didn't understand Einstein and the quantum field. Okay. And that ain't easy for a lot of us to understand anyway, even when you're educated. You kind of have to experience it to get the feeling. And Joe Dispenza is the guy that probably explains it better than anybody as far as I can see in understanding energy. And, you know, I don't know if have anybody ever told you explained E equals MC squared?
No.
Okay, I'm going to do it real quick. All right.
All right.
Now, energy is equal to mass times the square of the speed of light. The speed of light is 186,000 miles a second. Okay? We all know that from grade school, right? How fast light moves? 186,000 miles a second squared. That's a big number. 186,000 squared. Okay. So let's say you weigh 150 pounds as a human body. Your mass registers 150, not because you weigh that, but because the Earth's gravity pulls down on you and it's offset by the pressure from the moon and the planets pulling you the other way. and then you're being weighted down by the atmosphere, and you're being pulled down by gravity. So when you think of your body, you think of your body like a big bag of gel, a balloon with 2,000 pounds of pressure per square inch on the outside of it, and being pulled down into the earth by that much force. Well, that is your 150 pounds of mass. Well, how much energy do you have in that 150 pounds? You got 150 multiplied by the speed of light squared. That's pretty fast moving 150 pounds. You got to throw that 150 pounds out and move it at the square of the speed of light in order to calculate its energy content, because it's a mathematical proof. And as we know, we're going to talk to aliens with mathematics, because they found that mathematical proofs are the only ones that you can be absolutely sure, and that if you ever find intelligent life anyplace, that's how you would communicate with it. Follow me?
Yes.
All right. You turn that formula around, okay? And you look at it, and that is it. It's m divided by the square of the speed of light is equal to E. E, okay, excuse me, M is equal to energy. You switch, you do the reciprocal of the formula, which is E equals mc squared. You go M is equal to E divided by the square of the speed of light. That is very slow moving. So what does it take to make 150 pounds of mass? It takes a lot of energy. Moving, being slowed down by the speed of light squared. That's pretty damn slow. Okay? Now, I don't know how long it's going to take you to have that happen, but that's what is E equals mc squared.
Awesome. Well, thanks. Yeah, so did your son say he was coming to stay with you, or was it just
not yet?
Yeah.
I said we're going to stay in touch. I haven't written him a note yet. I'm going to write him a note today about it. And but when we signed off yesterday, I said, Jonathan, I love you. And he said, I love you, Dad. And I think that's the first time he felt comfortable with those words in his mouth. Because he's never signed off on a phone call before. Like I told you, I probably call him, 8 out of 10 times, and he calls me 2 out of 10 on my birthday, Christmas, that kind of thing. And I'll try to call him at least once a month, but most of the time I have to basically carry the conversation.
Yeah. Well, it's good to know that it's what changed in you, and he picked up on it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. That's what I'm learning from you so quickly, because that's what happened. Like I told you, the reason I started this was I couldn't believe it, to be honest with you. I think it's an exaggeration when Mark told me that he and Isabella had broken up. And after his first session with you, she did a 180. Oh, he didn't tell you that. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to tell you a private story.
I'll tell you this.
I apologize.
No, it's perfect. There's no judgment, no judgment here. I just love hearing good news. And just the way, I've been doing this for a while, so I can read people really well. And then being in the fire service, I regularly contact lots of people,
So you're with people that are going through immediate trauma.
And yeah, and so talking to Isabella, from our first conversation to our most recent one yesterday, it's a whole new person. It's it's beautiful.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
very where in the beginning, you know, she was just very rigid and like this is how it is. And then in our last conversation, she was just soft and you know, she was able to relax with me. And so I feel I've earned some trust with her. And
Wonderful.
yeah, yeah, very cool. So are you let's see, we also talked about your daughter. Have you talked to her in the last week?
No, since last week, I've had a lot of texts. I have texts with her every day.
Okay.
She and my ex-wife and I, we all do Wordle out of the New York Times.
Oh
And
yeah.
so we send that, that's our flag in the morning that sort of says, well, I'm up, and that kind of thing, because we have marvelous dietary and lifestyle um, similarities. My ex-wife is an excellent cook and mostly vegetarian, if not vegan. And my daughter is a dedicated vegan. But she's got an open mind, and so I can talk to her about it. I can't talk to her about a lot of politics, but about food I can talk to her. And they help me an awful lot with their experimentation and putting it together with the things that Mark and I are doing. Um, I really believe that a lot of my physical problem, particularly all the skin conditions, shingles and all of that, have a lot to do with my immune system being compromised. And so we've got Mark got me back reading the guy, Dr. William Davis, who wrote a book called Wheat Belly
Yeah.
about 20 years ago. Well, he wrote another book called Super Gut, and it's more recent. And that, if you haven't read it or seen it, we both of us, I'm sure Mark speaks for me, um, recommend it because
Yeah.
he talks
It's
about how to build back your immune system because you've had your immune system ruined not only by all of the stuff we talk about, the chemicals, but how many treatments of antibiotics have you had in your life? And even when you're a little kid, I think that may be a big piece of my son's problem because he had pneumonia when he was 2 years old, and they had to give him a quantity of injections that I actually asked him a little bit about yesterday if he remembered anything. And he said, no, not really, a little bit. And I said, well, you know, most of us have found that we need to go back and review and try to find out what happened. And, you or your mother and I are still around and still alive and kicking. So my own experience is I sure wish my parents were around a little more. My parents passed away when I was younger. I mean, I was an adult male, 40 years old, but I don't have the luxury of having parents around. So I don't have anybody I can ask about things because I'm telling you, their life was so different than ours is. And so much of the stuff that they had, they don't have what we have that's killing us today. A lot of it, we got to admit that it's worked scientifically because we've been able to make the human being go from 2.5 billion people to 8 billion people in 70 years.
yeah.
And you know what that means. And so, it's a little bit too much. And so we're all living with it. And we're all making it to be a much older age than we would have before. I mean, I would have been dead. I had pneumonia when I was in the Air Force, and before antibiotics, you died of pneumonia. You die you as an emergency worker, what it means that, what happens and what antibiotics, what a miracle those are. But they got another side to it that
Yeah.
we really haven't gotten into, and we're finding it out. And now we're finding out about glyphosate.
That's a big one.
And that, glyphosate originally was a chemical. It wasn't designed by Monsanto
Was it
for
Agent Orange? That's the like from the Vietnam War to kill off.
exactly. It's very
Yeah.
much related to it. And but what we saw were things, because they used them as pesticides. So we see them that way. But they were in the laboratory, they were built as antibiotics. What they really are antibiotics. So that glyphosate, what they do now, because they've got that genetically modified grain that allows them to apply it overhead and spray it rather than having to go around and apply it to individual plants, it covers the whole acre of land wherever they
Yeah.
have it. And so that kills every living species, plant or animal in the soil.
Yes.
So
And
we
in
have
your gut.
it would that exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what gets stuck in your ileocecal valve.
Yeah.
And that's what gets your immune system. What Gary says in the garage, virtually 100% of immune disease problems that people have can be found right there in the where the glyphosate collects in the ileocecal valve.
Yeah. So I have an additional perspective for any skin issues. So shingles, things like that.
Yeah.
Think of it, the emotional connection to it is somebody is really getting under your skin,
Mm, okay.
right? Like they're really irritating you. And and for you, you've been such a great attitude and grateful for most things, even though you may have challenges. To really start to look at what your body's telling you when you think about a certain person, or
Oh,
if you've had any challenges, or like, especially when you get a flare up, and something's like, so is there a flare up right now? Is there anything going on with the shingles?
well, it has subsided to a large extent. It's still there. What's really dry, I've still got some eruption on the skin, but most of it, the feeling is that this outer layer of skin needs to peel off. So that's why I think the water, because what I believe what's really going on with all of it, the skin stuff, because what I have now, what's bothering me more than anything is I have like 3 areas on my legs that have large viral warts. And so that, I believe, is because of the toxins that are in my gut.
Okay. Do you have your book handy, My Word Made Flesh? I'm gonna grab mine because warts are in there. I want to look it up and see.
Oh, yeah, let's do that. Oh, they don't have, let me go, that up to page 60, if I remember, was where the things are. So, anatomy, warts. No, they got waist.
So
Wrist.
page 86.
Oh, okay. Excuse me, I gotta get something to drink. Yeah, I think there's a soda there. 86.
86, right in the middle.
Oh, yeah.
So are you carrying some memory of some experience you have yet to resolve?
Yeah, sure.
All right. So what the location you said is on your legs?
Mostly on my legs. Yeah,
Which side, which leg, left or right, or both?
both.
Where at on your legs? Is it inner thigh, outer thigh, front, back?
Outside.
Okay, on both sides. All right. So this is um it's about some deep sadness.
Yeah.
understanding how to move forward.
Okay.
And this might be about your upbringing. So we can go there. It's like, when are you carrying any memories from childhood that you haven't resolved yet?
Well, I think when we have talked the last couple of times, and we've gone back and said, you asked me certain questions. When was the first time you felt bullied? I think you were pretty direct in the beginning.
Yeah.
You
Do you feel that is resolved?
Yes, that piece of it, yeah, because what we got to, we resolved it then.
Okay, so here's the other question.
All right,
Do you love yourself?
I'm learning to.
See, that's a no, right? And that's okay,
Okay,
because
all right,
so when I say like, John, I love you, or John, I'm loving you, right? There's a difference in that ing.
yeah,
It's kind of putting it off over here to slightly in the future. I'm gonna love you, right? I'm
yeah,
loving you, right? Or I love you, right? So do you
right.
love yourself? I'm working towards it, which means no, and that's okay. I mean, but this is what you loving you resolves the things, right?
Oh,
That's what this is. Okay.
oh,
So and it's simple. Let's think about all the magic. Tell me about your daughter's heart.
oh, it's huge.
Well, John, you created that.
Uh,
And
thank you.
is there anything more important than what you did with your daughter's heart?
No,
So how valuable are you to us? You're the most valuable thing here, John. So,
well,
yeah, and so it's real, like, we can just ease it in and just say, I give myself permission to forgive myself.
I give myself permission to forgive myself,
And I recommit to loving me.
and I recommit to loving me.
And now we'll make it silly. Just say, me love me.
Me love me.
Yeah.
Me love me.
So when you get any signal on your legs, like the things you were talking about, if those things give you any physical sensation, pain, itching, whatever, me love me. Me love all of me, and I forgive myself.
Me love all of me.
Yeah.
Even, yeah. Okay. I can do that. Hey, Wart, I feel you. God damn it. I want to scratch you, but I'm staying here.
Yeah,
You
and you can even say, this is my biggest blessing, and I love you just the way you are.
know? Yeah, it's my biggest blessing, and I love you the way you are. You're
So
part of
when you
my,
start to say this, right, you say, this is
yeah,
my biggest blessing. And you go, well, how? Like, this is a terrible thing, right? This is painful. And not, no, but it is allowing you to remember what you've created on this planet.
yeah,
Your son, your former wife, your
yeah,
daughter, and all the magical interactions you like. And you told me you were, I think you said people pleaser in your business, but
yeah.
really, that's one perspective. The other perspective is that you were very loving and caring and showed love for people.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, you know, I think that's fair. I think that's very fair. That really is a very good. It's a very generous description,
And you
and there,
notice that, yeah, can you notice there's a physical, like, there's energy moving in our body right now. Like,
oh yeah,
I'm getting grace bumps.
yeah, okay,
Yeah,
I got you.
yeah.
I'm there with you. I got you.
So that's what this is about, John, is you are required to love yourself more than you ever have right now.
Yeah, I sure need it, boy. And that's it. Holy crap! Excuse my French. Man, you just nailed something here. I mean, it's been right there in front of me. it's been right there, obvious. It's all part of it. But what I think is that what I told you in the first meeting, when we got to my trauma, my biggest trauma was the fear of abandonment. And so I've lived my life being abandoned in the sense
Until now,
that,
yes,
I,
yeah.
I mean, my parents are gone. Okay, but I'm divorced twice. I don't have a partner now. Okay, in that sense, and so when we talked about it the first time, I told you that, well, I think I'm going to move back in with my second ex-wife because we know we can live together. And, when you asked me who I was going to end up with I think it was 6 months at that point, I said Alexandra. Okay, well, the second time when we talked about it last week, I said it was Anne. Okay, so the person changed in a week.
Yeah.
Okay, because I've been looking, what I've always said is I've been looking, and I've told Anne knows it, and Alexandra knows it. I'm really looking for companionship. Somebody who's with me and shares life with me and shares different things. Right now, I'm extremely fortunate that I have these people that I can share things with now, which I'm doing. And
Mhm.
now I think maybe I've got my son back to do a little more of that. And so, as you said, if I can do that with myself, it's almost like I've been abandoning myself.
Yes. Welcome home, John. Welcome home.
Okay. Okay.
You think
Because
about,
that's the love. The
yeah.
abandonment, that's the synonym for love.
Yes.
Is not being abandoned. Okay. Abandonment is the loss of love.
And yeah, and it's a partnership with yourself. So even the word myself
Exactly.
is like two different things coming together. Like I am partnering with myself. I am loving myself.
Anne has been teaching me. I've had a relationship with Anne, a positive relationship, longer than I have had with another human being. We've been together for 11 years, and we're together at least 3 days a week, and we've been together as many as 5. We're already planning. We haven't been able to make a trip because she got extremely ill. She had appendicitis last year and ended up with sepsis and almost died. So she's been recovering, but she's feeling better now and feels like she wants a vacation. So we're going to take a trip back over to Naples. Oh,
Appendicitis.
oh shit. Let me look.
70, page 70.
Oh my goodness gracious. And boy, is there a lot of that. A lot. I've never seen so much appendicitis. Alexandra had it.
Yeah.
My stepdaughter had it. Okay. Anne had it. And I don't know if it's appendicitis or it's
And think
just that,
about what you were talking about when this came up. It was about you two connecting and living together. So
yeah.
it says, have I denied some feelings with, I won't let myself feel love.
Which page is it?
Page 70, third
Yeah.
one down.
All right. Let me go get it.
Yeah.
70. Appendicitis. Have I denied some feelings with the phrase, I won't let myself feel? Is the idea of having certain feelings extremely painful to me? Yeah, boy, it could really be. It
And
could.
think about what you were just talking about is you two living together. And then this story came up. That there is no accidents. Like that is what she may have been denying herself, letting love in, letting your love in. And same for you. And so yeah, here's the upgrades. I give myself permission to enjoy all I feel.
Yeah,
I give myself permission to forgive just because I choose to forgive. I remember, love, and let go of all else. I love, I touch, I breathe, I stay, I feel. That's the
yeah.
5 words of embodiment.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah.
that'll be a fun share with you and Ann.
Yeah,
You
it
know,
sure
so
will.
yeah. And that way you that
She's gonna love it.
yeah,
She knows exactly what you and I are doing because she's been through all of this thing. I told you she's very shamanic.
yeah.
And like I
I
say,
feel it'll open up you guys your heart pathways just bringing this up and saying, have you denied some feelings? And it's going to allow her to express herself.
thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Wonderful. I see her tomorrow.
Excellent.
I
Yeah,
see
bring your
her.
book. Yeah.
I see her every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday.
Nice.
She comes
Yeah.
here. She comes here once a week, and I go up there twice a week, or vice versa.
All right. How you feeling right now?
Feeling pretty good.
Yes, I love hearing those words.
I'm sure you do. I do too. I love being able to say them.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of a thing that I've had a lot of difficulty over the last 5 years. You know,
Yeah.
that's really, but it's all part of it. And I've got this with your thing here. This is all wonderful.
Yeah.
Um,
You and I are much more powerful than we know.
oh,
Yeah.
well, look at the energy we got in 150 pounds. 150
Yeah.
times the speed of light squared. That we got a lot of energy, my friend. That's, I think, where that comes out to, I forget what it was. That was something that Joe Dispenza said. What is it that you got like 80 trillion volts in your body? Because every cell's got 1.4 potential volts with the mitochondria and everything. That when you do the math on the number of cells in the body, that's your body, and you do the math, it comes out, you got, I don't know, 40 trillion volts in your body. That was one of the things I couldn't get my son to understand. And I can understand why he couldn't understand it.
Yes. Well, and just vote, you get to vote his victory and he'll get it. Because
I know.
if you get it, he gets it, right? He
That's,
gets
yep,
everything you get.
yep,
Yeah.
yep. That's the quantum field.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. This was a fun conversation. I feel really high right now. And just
Oh, great.
yeah.
Great. Yeah, that's great. Man, you don't get hurricanes where you are, huh? You get tornadoes every once in a while?
We do get tornadoes. I've had a couple pretty close to here in the past. Hurricanes are, so I'm actually from the coast. I'm from Port Arthur, Texas.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I grew up with hurricane parties and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But my family still lives there and they come visit me when they have to evacuate.
Oh,
And
well, good.
I lost I'll say I lost one of the a house I owned on the coast was swiped away by Hurricane Ike. So the
Oh,
entire house was swept away. And I still own the land, but I haven't rebuilt just because it's so harsh on anything you build to have something right on the ocean.
yeah.
And
I don't think you can do it anymore, to be honest with you.
yeah,
You know, I wouldn't, I mean, like I was telling you the other day, what I've seen over in Naples, I mean, they got hit by 3 hurricanes, 2 in 1 year.
yeah,
That's what happened to my brother when he was in the Keys. Got hit with, had to evacuate 3 times in 1 year, and the last one blew the house he was renting right off the blocks and into the Gulf. So same thing that happened to you, and that's when he retired the third time and ended up in Yellowstone National Park, so he can sit on top of the biggest volcano in the world.
yeah. Awesome. Yeah, I like I'm more of a river person now. I have a land and a house on the Llano River, which is in
Oh,
central Texas. So that's where I host my retreats and we do body electronics, which is right.
oh,
Yeah.
you know, I could drive out there in about 3 days. if I get back to where I can drive or ride,
How about this? Instead of if, when I get,
when, all
yeah.
right. Well, I'm making the first trip. We're making the first trip to Naples on the 8th.
Yeah, so you get to
Yeah.
visualize. It's fun
When?
and easy, and your body is in
Yeah.
complete ease. So how do
Yeah.
you feel when you imagine like you're in Naples already and your car ride was fun and easy and your body feels great?
Oh, it's going to be wonderful. I can go to the
Well, all
beach.
right. So this is important, right? It's gonna be wonderful. It's going to be wonderful, which is
It's going to be wonderful. Yeah.
I'm inviting you to bring it to right now with your
Now, yeah,
yeah. So
I
I
got you.
feel wonderful.
I feel wonderful.
Yeah, because even in
Yeah.
our imagination, we're talking about quantum field here.
Yeah.
There is no future, there is no past. It's all
Exactly.
right now.
I'm
And you,
right there now.
yeah, yeah,
I'm right there now. Boom. Yeah.
yes,
Wow. Man, heavy duty shit. Excuse my French again.
dude. It's in the be and I think Jesus talks about this, especially in the Gospel of Thomas. If it's not in the Bible, whatever your feelings are on that, but he
Uh-huh.
says when you wake up, I'm paraphrasing. He says when you wake up, you're going to be pissed off. Because you're going to be like,
Huh?
no, how come no one told us this?
Yeah. Okay. That's right. You know, that book, I was going to ask you, that's something maybe you can help. I know I've talked to Mark about it. Do you know, I really enjoyed listening to that lady's book.
Yes.
And because it basically talked the whole book, if I could summarize it, basically to me talked about scripture. And it reminded me of the spirituality I felt as a young boy. Because it's a long story, I won't go into it today, but like most of us, I got away from organized religion, and I
Yeah.
lived in Latin America where everybody was Catholic, and so I never had option. And my upbringing, I was a Congregationalist and became United Church of Christ when they joined others. But our minister was an intellectual. He had been to Union Theological Seminary. Our ministers were probably the best educated human beings that I've ever met. And they knew the Bible inside and out, of course, because of like most of the religious leaders. But he was able to interpret and excite really interest, really, because in our churches, nobody got up and jumped around and waved their hands and all that kind of stuff. We didn't have any of the Bible thumping. It was all quiet. These were all upper middle class executives, not everybody in the church, but a lot of people. So he had to be able to talk to every level of human that came into the church. And there were a lot of them there that were really smart and well educated. And you don't talk nonsense to them. And you don't try to scare them with hellfire and brimstone, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that's the way I remember religion, and I haven't ever found it again. And when I was listening to the lady the other day, I realized I really don't have to find a church. I've been looking kind of, but I can probably do it on my own. And I was going to ask you if you had any recommendations on audiobooks or podcasts that are similar to something like what this book was. Because I listened to a
Yes.
couple of the other things that were in there that came up on YouTube of other books, and they're good, but they're not the same thing. I really wanted more scripture. I think that,
Yes. Okay, I got you.
all
So
right.
I'm going to send you two more books. So one is from the same author, Florence Scovel Shinn. It's called um, what is there's two there. She has four books. I think I'll just send all of them to you. And it was called My Word is My Wand.
Oh, I think I saw that one. Good. Yeah, please send it to me.
So I was actually reading that book, okay, and I read this page, and this wave of energy comes over me,
Oh,
and the thought, boop, goes, do not go to work. Now, okay.
Wow.
So I'm work and like you, I'm working on it. I'm working on not working, right? I'm working on like this is my true calling here.
Yeah,
Love the
no
fire
question.
service. It's a great paycheck and great benefits and all that. But this is my highest choice, and I'm getting very close to making that transition into full entrepreneurship.
Wow.
There's another book. It's a little bit longer, a little bit more scientific, but it puts the science with the scripture,
Oh,
which that sounds like right up your alley. And so it's called The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Joseph Murphy. And I'll send that
oh,
one to you. Yeah.
wonderful.
And so he has an audio version of it. And if I can find it with him reading it, he's an Irish guy, so it's very entertaining to hear him read his book.
Yeah, 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 yeah. He
Yeah,
reads it himself. Wonderful. It's usually better when the authors read the book.
yeah.
It's
So
good.
those two books right there, the Game of Life and How to Play It, and then The Power of Your Subconscious Mind. Those two books changed my life, and I've read them
Uh,
several times and listened to them
yes.
several times. I've been driving my car listening to it, and I had to pull over
Yeah.
and get my notepad out and write like, "Oh my gosh, this is so good," you know. So I'll send those books when we get off this call. I'll send those books. And yeah, man, great call today. I require doing some yard work now.
Ah,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, it's time to rake some leaves.
Oh, yeah. Well, I would welcome that to an extent because here, this being in an urbanized condominium, these guys come around with those leaf blowers. And I didn't realize it, but whatever the trees are here, I think, I don't know what kind of trees are around here, but this is a crazy time of year. You think in the fall, but like you, we're in the summer and the spring, and there's some trees that apparently shed their leaves at this time of year. And they come around with these leaf blowers with gasoline engines. I have to close my windows and everything. Man, the noise, the stink, those machines. You're lucky you've got a place with nature that you go to. That
Yes,
that's the piece I missed. That's why I was thinking about moving into the country club.
yeah,
And I will, if one becomes available, I will. It becomes available either as an apartment to live by myself or a house that Alexander and I might live in. But longer term or whenever it is, I'm hoping to be closer to Ann. And like I said, Vero Beach was an alternative. And there are other places too. And I think she may be soon to start thinking a little more about that. But we're fixing up a lot of her stuff too. I'm gonna get that water system put in her house so that she can take care of herself.
awesome. Well, John, I require getting off of here and getting some work done. This was so much fun. And man, I'm really happy to hear that you're doing great. Your eye report will be coming soon. Give me about one more week and I'll complete
All
it.
right.
And we'll go over that maybe next call.
All right.
And,
Well, do the next few weeks we can do 2 o'clock if that works for you.
yes,
Because we've got two more, I think, of these,
yes,
and then we figure out where we go after that. But
yes, sir.
no question, I'm going to want to do something. So,
Yes, and if you're feeling inclined, I know it's a little late for you. Let's see, it'll be 8 o'clock Central, so it'll be 9 o'clock for you.
uh-huh.
We do a Zoom call on Thursday nights where we get a community together and we talk about all these things that you and I are talking about. So if you're available, we're getting on a Zoom call tonight. I can send you that link also.
Well, thank you because some nights I have insomnia and I am up and I'm not. I don't. I have last week. I think last night I got to bed earlier than I have in 2 or 3 weeks. I got to bed by little after 10 last night. So I've been, some nights I haven't gotten to bed until midnight. I get in bed and then I have to get up and move around again. So
Yeah.
I don't settle down. And So I may be available, if not tonight, another night when we do it.
Okay, yeah, it's every Thursday, so I'll send that link to you right now.
Okay. And the books, please.
Yeah, the books are already sent. Yeah,
Oh, wonderful.
they're on your text message. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome so much. Have a wonderful day.
Good luck with all your work.
All right, thank you.
Bye-bye.